Welcome. If you've only recently joined Toastmasters, you are in for such a treat. It's an amazing journey. It will transform you. You will turn into a different person by the end of it. I can promise you that. I've seen it happen to myself and so many other people. All you got to do is keep turning up. But this hopefully will enable you to get access to all the things that will help you on your journey. So let's dive in. So the hardest thing is going to that first meeting, and you've done that. So well done. Walking through the door to people you don't know, it's tough. Our club always makes sure we have a good welcome for guests. Hopefully other clubs follow suit as well. The next thing you need to do is choose and register a pathway. I'll explain what a pathway is in a minute. Many of you have already discovered this word and either know about it or want to know more. You also need to make friends with two things, EasySpeak and BaseCamp. Now, not all clubs use EasySpeak. There's a new kid on the block called Toast. Some clubs are switching to that, but the majority still do use EasySpeak. If your club doesn't, I apologise. It's not all about EasySpeak, but I do mention it. So be aware, EasySpeak is very club dependent. BaseCamp is for everyone. You all need to know about BaseCamp. And how to book your speech and sign up for roles, that sort of thing. So what is a pathway? Let me just move my band down the bottom. There, it's your online guide. It's an interactive online guide that will guide you all the way through from the very beginning to the end. Of course, people support you as well. People in your club, you may well be assigned a specific mentor, but there's lots of people there. The VPE, the president, they will all help you along your journey. There are 6 different paths to choose from. Each one has a slightly different emphasis, but they all build your confidence, turn you into confident speakers, and make you a good communicator. So don't fret too much about which one you choose. You can get a flavour in some pathways by reading the blurb. There's so much blurb on the Toastmasters site, everywhere you look. I read them over and over and over, and I still didn't really get much of a feel for them. Some of them give you a good clue in their name. I mean, dynamic leadership. If you are really want to power ahead with leadership, that's the one to go for. If you're more interested in stand-up comedy or just generally investigating your funny bones, then engaging humour is the one, and so on. But I narrowed them down to a one-liner for each one. And I did this based on their level 4 and 5 projects because there isn't a lot of difference until you get to level 4. Then they do diverge quite a bit. So presentation mastery, again, self-explanatory. If you want to be a really competent presenter, that's the one to go for. Persuasive influence and visionary communication, not so clear. Persuasive influence is more about problem solving. Visionary communication, I love that one. It's, yeah, I can see how things ought to be done and I can envisage putting a plan in place, that sort of thing. So that may help you choose. So once you've decided which path, you then need to go onto the Toastmasters International site, TMI site, that may well be abbreviated to. And the first screen you come to has choose path, and that's obviously where you go. Now, this also has a quiz, a sort of questionnaire. I forget how many questions, 20, 30 questions. asking about what you want to achieve, what you like, and so on. And that will help you choose a pathway. You don't have to take their recommendation, but it's quite fun to do and interesting. Until you register your path, you can't get access to all the stuff that's going to help you or make any official progress in your journey. BaseCamp, which we'll talk about in a minute, only contains your material once you have registered your pathway. So if anyone is here who hasn't yet registered, please make that the very first thing you do. Go onto the TMI site, do the questionnaire, and just go for one of the paths. They're all very, very similar up till level 4, so just go for one. So let's have a look at a whole pathway. Each pathway has 5 levels. We're only really going to talk about level 1 here because this is for new members or those that just need a bit of an introduction to BaseCamp if you're from the old system and haven't yet switched on to it. Level 1 does all the basics, as you would expect. Even by the end of level 1, your communication skills will be transformed. It has the most number of projects. Probably take about 6 months, but you go at your own pace. There is no deadline. So some people do it a little quicker, some people take more time over it. Levels 2 and 3, you'll be glad to know, have less projects and take less time, about 3 months each, although they have just added a little bit on to level 3, so that is going to take a little longer than it used to. So this is an overview of a whole pathway, the 5 levels. If you've just joined, please just look at the level 1. There's no need to look beyond that. Not surprisingly, as you move up the levels, they get more complex, there's more stuff to do, but you'll be ready for it when you get there. It's a steady progression through each level. So let's look at level 1. There are 4 projects. What's a project? That really threw me when I first started at Toastmasters. Mostly, a project is just one speech. Mostly. But sometimes it's a bit more than that. And you can see that there's 4 projects in level 1, but 5 speeches. So one of those projects includes 2 speeches. And look down to the roles that you also do along with that level. Roles are invaluable. Every single role gives you stage time, getting used to walking up to the front, turning around, facing the dreaded audience, speaking. Every one of them does that. So they're all useful. And the more roles that you do, the better your speaking will become. You also now, and this is fairly new, need to do a table topic speaking role before your icebreaker. So this is quite new. Used to be, don't worry, do an icebreaker when you're ready for it. Now they say you must do an icebreaker before you even give, must do a table topic speech before you give your icebreaker. Doesn't stop you from booking your icebreaker because that may be several meetings away if your club's a busy one. You also do evaluator role. That is always the case. Level 1 has got a project in it which involves 2 speeches and 1 evaluation. So that's not changed. And I'll show you where there's help for evaluation in a minute. But new is having to be timekeeper. Some clubs have something called an R counter, and you can be that instead. So timekeeper or R counter must be done during your level 1 journey. The roles are fairly logical. They're the right roles for that level. Timekeeper is, we had one lady who was terrified of going on stage, and she was timekeeper. So she just walked up to the front, read out the times and sat down. And at the end, she said, I'm not afraid of going on stage anymore. So they all help you along. Okay, so let's have a closer look at level 1. 4 projects, as we said, 5 speeches and an evaluation. First one is your icebreaker. It's slightly shorter than normal speeches. Most Toastmaster speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. So be aware of that. And if you're an experienced Toastmaster doing your second pathway, don't forget that. You can easily get used to hammering out 5 to 7 minute speeches, and then you forget the icebreaker is shorter. The idea is you introduce yourself to the club. You don't have to reveal anything you don't want to. You can talk about your hobbies or things you like, or where you lived when you were younger, or anything that you're comfortable talking about. And the idea is it's easy to talk about yourself because you know the material. The second speech looks at shaping a speech. What do you put into a speech? How do you structure it? So it's looking at the beginning, the middle, the end. Start with a hook, finish with a nice round conclusion, maybe a call to action. And in the middle to put things we call rhetorical devices, just things that make your speech more powerful. Power of 3, exaggeration, alliteration, starting things with the same letter. You will learn lots of little tricks that when you start looking at famous speeches, you realize they use these devices. That's why they're memorable. So you look at the content of a speech. Your third speech is all about delivery. There's always 2 parts to a speech, the content and the delivery. In a competition, the content has slightly more weighting, but people always mark up or remember the delivery. So they say, oh, wasn't it good when they dropped that thing on purpose and it made a noise? So vocal variation and body language are your 2 really big tools when you are giving a speech. So even by then, you have learnt so much. You've got a lot of tools in your toolkit. So what's the next one all about? This is your 2 speech one. You give a speech, you get feedback. You always get feedback. It's always helpful, positive feedback. We never say, oh, well, that didn't go very well, did it? I didn't like the way you did that. You never ever get that. It's always positive, uplifting. Try saying at the beginning more what your speech is about so people are knowing what to expect. They call that signposting. Whatever feedback you are given, the idea is you give that speech, or it can be a different one, again, taking on board the feedback. So speeches, 1 is just getting up there and doing it and surviving and realizing it's not that bad. 2 and 3 is shaping and how to deliver. And then 4 is putting it all into practice. Each speech you give will get feedback, and you've started now the cycle. You speak, you get feedback, you think about it. You think, okay, next time I'm going to do it slightly differently. Only focus on 1 or 2 bits of feedback any one time and move forward with that. Really concentrate on improving that area. And before you know it, you're there and people are saying, wow, that was a great speech. So that's level 1 in a nutshell. The roles. Don't forget, you need to do a table topics question before you do your icebreaker. Speak to the VPE, the president, anybody in your club you're comfortable with, your mentor, and say, I need to do a table topics talk. and they will make sure the Table Topics Master is aware of that and will fit you in. You must serve as timekeeper or R counter. We don't have an R counter in our club. Other clubs love them. Varies from club to club. And don't just do them once, do them a few times. Really will get you comfortable with what you're doing. So, BaseCamp, what's all that about? You should get an email giving you login details. Don't lose them. If you do lose them, most people do, you can reset your own password as long as you know the email you use to log on to Toastmasters in the first place and, sign in. You can ask them to resend you the password. Here is everything you will ever need. BaseCamp is a section of the Toastmasters site. So there's Toastmasters International with everything on it, and BaseCamp is embedded in it. And that is where you will find your resources for your pathway. Remember, they'll only be there once you've registered your pathway. And of course, the TMI site's where you sign up for your pathway anyway, so you will have been on there. So we looked at this before when we were talking about registering a pathway. The pathway's on the left. Now we are looking at BaseCamp. So you go into BaseCamp and, providing you've registered a pathway, there it is. Obviously not these ones. These are Melissa's, whoever Melissa is. But your pathway that you've chosen will be there. So let's go into your pathway. Not surprisingly, it's set out with levels 1 to 5. You're only going to be interested in level 1 at the moment. So we'll open this up. Now this one is partially done because you can see there are 2 ticks there. You can do the speeches out of order. If it's your first pathway and you're new to this, I don't advise that. Lots of people do a second pathway and they have a particular speech they want to give and it fits a certain thing, so they might do them out of order. But usually you start at the beginning. And there's a new thing here, Mastering Fundamentals. That's only been here for a few weeks now. In October, they brought in some new improvements. So let's click on that and see what that is. And here we go. Here's all your roles that you need to know about. So you can click on that, find out about all the roles, your timekeeper script, how to evaluate, because you have to do that as part of one of your projects. So everything you need is there. Then we're going to click on the icebreaker, go down to resources. Again, everything you need, a checklist, your evaluation resource. So that is the actual evaluation sheet that you can send to your evaluator, or usually to start with, the evaluator will find that themselves. You can print the entire project if you like, and have a look at the outline. So here's your checklist. Now this is quite nice because at the bottom they've left space for you to fill in, and it says choose one piece of feedback that's reasonable to apply to your next speech. And that's a good habit to get into. Always make a note of the most valuable piece of feedback that you think will improve your journey. There's also the option of filling in your speech details. Now, people who are familiar with EasySpeak tend to get very lazy and rely on EasySpeak to record everything for them. But EasySpeak does not communicate with BaseCamp. Only BaseCamp communicates with Toastmasters directly and lets them know where you are on your journey. So you will never get any official recognition from EasySpeak. It's a very useful tool. We'll look at EasySpeak in a minute. But BaseCamp is where all your data is, and you need to fill it in. It's not done automatically. So each time you do a speech, fill in the speech details. It's very useful to look back, see what evaluator you had, and so on. So when you've finished your icebreaker, you've done all the checklist, you can click on complete my project and you'll get it ticked off. You saw that 2 of the projects in that level 1 were ticked off, and if you get this far you will then get a green tick on your icebreaker. So this is for the entire level 1. When you have done every project in level 1, you can go through, check you've done everything. Have you done the icebreaker? Have you done writing a speech with purpose? Have you done your evaluation? If you've done all of those, you can submit your whole level. You just click submit and it then goes to your VPE for approval. So don't think it's automatically awarded. The VPE will check that you've done all the roles and all the speeches. Pretty easy for level 1, but as you saw, 2, 3 and 4 and 5 get more and more complicated. So the VPE needs to do quite a bit of checking as it goes up. Levels must be submitted in order. So although you can do the speeches out of order, you cannot submit levels out of order. So you must do everything in level 1 before you can do level 2. Roles, let's have a look at those. They are recorded on EasySpeak, but you need to put them in BaseCamp yourself. This is where the VPE will look to check that you've done the right roles that go with your levels. So when you go to BaseCamp, click on your name in the corner up here, and then click on Profile. So you're in BaseCamp, go to your name in the top right corner, click on Profile, and first of all you think, well, none of this is what I want. I don't want to put my social media handles or whatever. Scroll down and you come to the meeting roles. It's really quick and easy to do. Click on the edit pencil and you just click the role you're doing and the date, the little calendar there for you, and save it. And then you get a lovely roll of all the roles you've ever done, and it's where the VPE can check. I try and encourage people at my club to update BaseCamp after each meeting with whatever you did. Usually most people do a role each meeting, whether it's a speech, evaluation, or something like timekeeper. So update every time. And then when you come to submit your levels, it's a one-click job. If you do not keep BaseCamp updated, when you come to submit your level, you've got to go through every project, tick it all off, try and remember when everything was done, and it's you know, harder work. So keep your BaseCamp up to date. Okay, switching track now to EasySpeak. EasySpeak is like your club's diary. And as I said at the beginning, not all clubs use EasySpeak. Most do, I would say 80+% do. So this is applicable to most of you. But be aware your club may be one of the few that don't. Before EasySpeak, there was some sort of log where you had to write down what speeches you were going to do and who was going to speak at the next meeting. Nightmare. EasySpeak does it all for you. This time it's usually the VPM or the treasurer will send you details of how to log in. So I've already said that, and we'll have a look into it and schedule your icebreaker. Of course, this applies for any speeches now. So how to book a speech and how to sign up for roles. Don't forget the icebreaker is a little shorter than normal. So you go on to EasySpeak, you click My Participation up at the top, and you go Sign Up for Meetings. Okay, so EasySpeak, completely separate from BaseCamp. It's your club's log. My participation, sign up for meetings, and you'll get this. On the left, I've marked it in green. It says request a speech. But just pause for a minute and look at all the other things on here. Where there are roles still vacant, this is from some while ago, it's not current. If there's a role that you want to do, you just click on yes, and you will be put in for those roles. Some of the roles you can't volunteer because people would do it by accident. So things like Toastmaster of the evening, general evaluator, they're for more experienced Toastmasters. And you have to sort of tell the VPE you want those roles. But all the common roles, timekeeper, warm-up master and so on, you can just say yes. But we're having a look at requesting a speech. So over on the left, where the green blob is, request a speech, and this pops up. 3 tabs. First one is your speech title. You might not know that yet. You can just put TBA, to be advised, in there, or whatever you like, a working title. You can always change it later. Be aware the other 2 tabs are the critical ones. This middle one will make sure that the right speech from the right workbook is included. The first time you go to book your icebreaker, you will have to start a new workbook. Please choose the same pathway that you signed up to on Toastmasters International. If you choose a different pathway here, level 1's okay because the speeches are the same, but then the speeches start to vary slightly, and it's a nightmare to sort you out and put you on the right pathway. So open up a new workbook, make sure it's the correct one, the same one you signed up with. From the drop down thing, once you've got the right pathway chosen, you then choose the right speech from that pathway, usually starting with your icebreaker and just working down. And you can see how people use EasySpeak and don't go to BaseCamp, because they can see what their next speech is and they know what speeches they've done. So they think, why do I need to go to BaseCamp? So much is there, so much support material. I discovered so much of it afterwards and I went, oh, wish I'd known that at the time. So make sure BaseCamp is where you go. And your dates, as I say, try and give a second date if you can, really helps the VPE out. Okay, so we've looked at BaseCamp, we've looked at EasySpeak. Let's just have a quick recap. Remember, they do not talk to each other. EasySpeak, once you've applied for a speech or a role, that will record it for you. BaseCamp is totally down to you to keep it updated. All your speeches, all your roles, any other projects you are doing. And BaseCamp is where you start to sign up for your pathway. Common problems. We get this so much, it's untrue. I've logged in and it says it doesn't recognise me. There are more than one EasySpeak sites. There's one for India, there's one for Europe, there's one for Ireland, I believe. We use this one. So when you're given your first login details, it really helps if you save it in your list of easy accessible things, because so often we have to say to people, are you going to the right EasySpeak site? It should say toastmasterclub.org. So you've forgotten where BaseCamp is. Go to the Toastmasters International site and it's in there. As soon as you open it up, there's an option to go to BaseCamp. You can reset your own password there if you like. I usually send this to my new members. It's a reminder of the things to do. Choose your pathway and register it. Nothing will be in your BaseCamp until you've registered your pathway. Book your icebreaker. Even if you haven't done a table topics talk yet, get your icebreaker booked, because as I say, especially busy clubs, it may be several meetings time before you can fit your icebreaker in. And I always say, put your photo on your EasySpeak profile. It's easily done. You just go to, at the top it says profile and then images, and you add your image. It's so nice to go to meet the members of the club and seeing lots of smiley faces. And you can say, oh, that's that lady, right, her name is, and it helps you get to know the members. So 3 little tasks to do, hopefully, once you've finished this. And I'm going to stop sharing now.